If life is all about learning and growing and becoming, the key is to get rid of the biggest constraint. We want to make sure that the biggest constraint, the biggest problem is solved first because it opens up our capacity to take on the next problem. And then we get rid of that constraint and then we take on the next problem. If someone were to ask me what the biggest problem is on planet Earth today, I might just say, like I've said in the past, it's self-talk. The negative self-talk that people have, which tricks them up and causes all sorts of issues for them so that they can't achieve their goals. But if we take that one step further, I would say it's actually ignorance. Ignorance is the biggest problem, because if you knew that self-talk was the issue, then we could take care of it because you knew how to take care of it, and so as a result, it's ignorance. Ignorance is the biggest problem on planet Earth. How do we solve ignorance? Education. That is the key. When you have education, then you are wiser, and as a result, you know how to solve problems, you know how to solve biggest constraints, and as a result, you got more capacity, and now you can take on bigger and bigger challenges. The only problem is that the traditional educational system is not functional. It is a piece of crap. No offense, but you know it, I know it, everyone knows it, and every single person who is in those universities right now are suffering. And they think they're suffering because I need to manage this test and I need to graduate, but they're suffering from understanding that what they're doing is a waste of time, and they still have to do it. This is the biggest pain for entrepreneurs. It's like, man, I'm doing this thing, but I feel like I'm wasting my time, right? Who wants to waste their time? We've got 2.5 billion seconds on planet Earth, approximately, right? If you're lucky, you get 3 billion, and you're wasting 4 years of your life trying to get a bachelor's degree, unless you live in a European country where you can do it in 3 years. 4 years wasted, pretty much, where you just crammed the information right before the exam so that you could pass. And then you just partied and had fun the rest of the time, creating problems very often rather than solving them. If the traditional educational system is preventing us from understanding how the world works, is preventing us from achieving truth, it's preventing us from becoming our fullest potential, it needs to be solved, and I need all of the help in the world that I can get because I want to replace it all. I want to replace the traditional educational system with one company. I want it to be decentralized. I want tons of people to collaborate on this huge mission of mine, and we're going to change it in this and the next decade. We've got 15 years, and I've got huge goals for it, and I'm going to help you to understand what to do in order for you to get properly educated and how we're going to solve this problem, this system that is basically going down the drain. You can build wealth without a degree. In fact, getting a degree will make you poor. Do you know that $25,000 is the average debt, no matter if you go to public school, no matter if you go to a private school, that is the average student debt that they have once they graduate. That is painful. Imagine if you had instead done the 80-hour work week. Now, the 80-hour work week, a lot of people are against it, but we're trying to build wealth here. We're trying to get rich when you started this video, so I'm trying to help you to understand the alternative. You want to build burning desire. You want to understand how to plan properly. You want to understand how to take massive action, like the 80-hour work week, so that you can return to your plan and make a better one. And then go back and do the 80-hour work week, find out that it didn't work, and then go back to your plan and make another one. This is how you progress towards wealth. This is how you properly get educated. Those that are streetwise are way better off than those that are bookwise. But imagine if you combine streetwise with books. Now, the best books of the world, not the ones you get from university. If you did those hours, 300 hours every single month, let's say you did $3,000 a month because your salary was only $10 an hour. That's actually pretty good average. And let's take away 25% for good measure. Okay? So we're at $2,400. Let's say that you chose to stay at home during this time frame instead of going out and doing something else and renting a place and trying to provide for yourself. I don't recommend moving out of your parents' house. I'm kind of different when it comes to because I used to be a masculinity coach in the past and all that stuff, and everyone says, oh, you need to move out of your parents' house because, hey, you can't live in their basement for the rest of your life, right? Bro, stay there. Trust me. You want to build wealth, right? You stay there and you massively work for as long as it takes in order for you to develop wealth. Literally. You know what's going to happen? You're going to save $2,000 a month before you start using the rest of the money for expenses. You've already paid your taxes. You set aside $2,000 for investments and to increase your wealth, okay? And then you're going to just keep doing your job and you'll have $400 to spend. You can pay rent with that money to your parents, or you can spend a little bit of money in order for food, or whatever it is that you need. Just stack $2,000 every single month. That's going to be 48 months later, the average time of a bachelor's degree. That's going to amount to $96,000. So not only did you save $25,000 from the student debt, you also added another $98,000 to your name. That's pretty freaking awesome. Starting at around, 23, 24 years old. Bro, this is stacking wealth. How many people do this? Less than 1%. How about you become that 1%er and make things happen? Even if you only did half of what I just said, you'll be at $48,000. It's way better than getting an education. An education in college or at university. You want to start a business. You want to build wealth. You don't want to try to regurgitate those exams, the information you get from those books, and then try and find a job after you go to school. Do you know that half of the people that enter into university quit and never return? And that could be the first year, the first few lessons. That could be the second year. That could be the third year. That could be the fourth year. Obviously, the longer you go to university, the less likely it is that you're going to quit. But I quit in my third year. So I don't know about you, but hopefully you quit soon. Because I wish you would have quit when you were 6 years old, when you started kindergarten or school, like first grade. Don't go to school at all. Because if you don't go to school at all, one, you have tons of free time to develop skill sets and to have fun. And then when you are ready to work, when you're like 14, 15, 16 years old, you can put in the 80-hour work week and you can stack cash not from 18 years old, but from 14 years old. So instead of having 98K, you have 200K by the time you're 24, 25 years old. It sets a completely different precedence because you're getting an education nevertheless. You are removing ignorance from your brain. When you're removing ignorance from your brain, you become wise. When you're wise, you become understanding, and that leads to business success. So, if we bring this over to business, I love to bring up the 1,000-hour rule. You have the 100-hour rule, which is basically that you become better than 90% of people in your specific skill set. If you just spend 100 hours on that skill, you're going to become better than 95% of the global population in that specific skill. 100 hours, okay? If you do 10,000 hours, you become elite in the world at that skill. Would you like to decide what you spend your time on in terms of how you serve other people in order for you to make your paychecks? Fantastic. If you invest 1,000 hours into a specific skill set, you will be financially free. If you do that in sales, you're 100% guaranteed that you will never ever need a job ever again, other than sales job. But you will be able to choose what type of sales job, and it could be your product or services that you sell, because you'll be good at it. If it is not sales, you might need an extra 1,000 hours in order for you to be so good at it that people are like, bro, you need to talk to this guy, and you'll just get a bunch of referral work. That's a great way to go about it. Or you can team up with someone who is good at sales, and boom, you've got a business that's functioning. 2,000 hours, absolute max, you'll be good at sales and whatever else skill set that you've specialized in that you can provide to the marketplace. And bro, that's not that hard. How long of a time does it take to get to 2,000 hours in a specific skill set? It's 40 hours every single week for a year. 40 times 50 weeks with 2 weeks vacation. That is 2,000 hours. You did that next to your jobs, okay? Or you did that without jobs. That would be great, but I highly recommend that you have jobs because then you'll be able to pay for stuff and be able to stack while you build your business. Okay, so you do this on the side, whether it takes 1 year, 2 years, or 4 years, it don't matter. But you will have gained your financial freedom if you're sticking with one skill and you get that figured out, what that skill is, very fast after you watch this video. That's what I recommend. I have a skills test inside of my community that you can take in order for you to know which industry path that you should do in order for you to get your financial freedom. If you take care of business and you set a plan, that's a proven plan that gives you success, things are going to look so much different for you than everyone else on the planet. This is how we're going to replace the traditional education system. We simply help people to get 3 jobs and to do those consistently without quitting, then to start a business on the side, help them figure out which industry to tap into, which business to start, which skills to develop, which habit to put in place and get part of their identity. And then, once they do that, we keep them accountable for an extended period of time in order for them to just keep doing what you're doing and to surround themselves with a community of like-minded people so they never ever quit. And then at the end of the rainbow, which is 2 to 3 to 4 years' time, they're free. They got the understanding and wisdom to replace their ignorance, to now have better self-talk, to now have cash on hand, to now have a business that's cash flowing. And that was done in the exact same time frame of someone who just finished their bachelor's degree and now is going out there to look for a job and will most probably have to take a low-paying job because no one is hiring during a recession. Sounds like a plan? If you want to take this opportunity for you, then make sure you book a time with me down below in the description and let's talk about it. Let's figure out which industry path you should take. If you already know, you just need accountability to stick with it and to do the 80-hour work week every single week and crush it. I've got exactly what you need. Make sure you DM me. I'll see you guys on the inside.